Hi, welcome back. If you're new, my name is Dave Thomas, also known as fsharp9, and today is a new video all about contributing to open source. It's coming up to October, which means it's time for Hacktoberfest, and that means that this is a perfect opportunity for me to try and get you to contribute to open source tooling. What I'd particularly like people to do is to contribute to F# open source tooling, and this video is a way to try and get people to do that. I'm going to tackle a very small tooling issue and show you how to fix it and show how easy it can be. So let's get to work. When you first start to contribute to an open source repo, sometimes it can be quite confusing knowing where to start. So sometimes there's a contributing document which you can read. Ionide has one of these too. For Hacktoberfest, you can often find issues listed with the Hacktoberfest label. So by clicking on the issues and then filtering by Hacktoberfest, you can find these pretty easily. We're going to use one where the signatures are invalid, where a double-ticked function is not correctly displayed in a tooltip. First thing we need to do is clone the repo, so we do that quickly now into a directory called Ionide. Then we go inside the directory and we run the build script. So this failed because I forgot to pass the build option to the build script. Now we have to pass the original build script again, and this should work. Here we go, everything's now built. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a console application to test this with. So we'll make a new directory called fsautotest, we'll change into that directory and we'll create a new .NET project template for an F# console application. Now if we open it up, we can add some test methods that we can use to test this. First we'll use a function called test with a parameter called exception. You can see here that exception doesn't have the double ticks around it. Next we'll use a function name with exception as its name. Again, you can see there's no double ticks around that. Next we'll use a type with exception as its name with an implicit constructor. You can see there's no double ticks here. And finally we'll use a type with no constructor with a keyword as its name, and you can see there's no double ticks here either. Now we'll start up Ionide by opening code in that directory. And you can see we've got imports core and components. Most of the work that we need to do to fix this is going to be inside fsautocomplete. So let's move to that directory now, which is inside packet files, github.com F# fsautocomplete. Now if we open that up in code, you can see there's 4 core projects. What we want to do is look for one called signature, or I think signature formatter. Here it is. So if we scroll down this and look at the different things, there's stuff to do with the symbols in the code, the modifiers that are applied, the return types and things like that. So this is the right file to look at for signature formatting. Now this function getTooltip details from symbol use is the main entry point into getting the detailed tooltips. What I need to do now is build this project and grab the DLL output that we can use to debug within Ionide. So let's select and copy this and go inside the settings for Ionide, command and comma. Now if we go down to the extensions and select F# and scroll right down the settings until we get to Attach Debugger, select that, and for netcore DLL path, paste in what we just copied as the output from fsauto. Now we can close the settings and we can go to debug and we can click build and launch extension. This will churn for a while and then it should spawn a window. Here we go, it's just opened the last project I had opened, Myriad. So if we go to File, Open, and now we can select the project that we created earlier, which is fsauto-test. Here we go, and now we're actually debugging that instance of VSCode. The next thing we need to do is move back to fsauto-complete and click on the debug symbol and then .NET Core attach, and then we choose fsauto-complete and we use one with the hyphen attach debugger that we added earlier on. Now when we hover over exception, we get our entry point into fsauto-complete, and if we step through some of these functions, we start to get into some of the details of trying to debug this. So if we look at this display name, I think this is what we're after here. Yep, that doesn't have any double ticks around it. Let's detach the debugger and fix it. To fix this, we just need to pipe the result of the if then else to a simple function called prettynaming.quoteIdentifier if needed. So if a function does need to have the double tick quotes added around it, then it will get added on. The issue was only one side of the if else had the pretty naming function applied. Let's run build again to get another build of this going. Now we need to start the whole process again so we can debug the next issue. Our new client started back up again. Now we need to switch back to fsauto and attach the debugger. And back to the client to test out the second one. Let's squeeze this in so we've got some more room and we can continue to step through this. So we're stepping through into get function signature, and if we keep going, we're in get function signature with indent, and if we keep going again we should see something pretty familiar with the display name. So let's look at where this goes through to. So that's for operator active pattern. And this section here, yeah, that doesn't have double ticks around it. So we'll stop the debugger again and we'll fix this one. It's a pretty easy fix again because for this particular branch, the pretty name and quote identifier if needed is not being applied. Let's build this again. We'll do the whole process again and start up a new client. Before we attach the debugger, we can actually check our handiwork. You can see we've got double ticks there around that exception. And for the second one, you can see that's fixed as well. Now let's get the debugger attached again. Back in a client, we can hover this one and step through again. So if we start stepping down, we can see we get into the reference constructor, then get function signature with a dent again. Looks like we're going to head into a different branch this time. So it's going to be the same thing again. This display name on the next line here, you can see there's no double ticks around that as well. Let's stop the debugger and fix this one. It's another easy fix because we just got to pipe this straight into quote identifier if needed. Now let's build everything again and redo the whole process again, starting up a new client. We can check this last one here. You can see there's no double quotes. If we attach our debugger again now, let's hover this again and start to step through. See, we're inside get entity signature, so this is a slightly different path through the code. We're applying generic parameters, and again we've got our display name, which is base without the double quotes. So let's stop the debugger and fix this case too. So because display name's used in a couple of different places, we'll apply the quote identifier if needed right up at the top here. And then we'll simply replace the two instances here and this last one here. As before, we need to rebuild and repeat the process again. So now we're back in the client and you can see all 4 of these are now fixed. But this guy is still an issue, so this is one more that we need to fix. So let's attach the debugger one last time. Back in the client, we can now hover on test and step back into our code. Let's just step over a few of these to try and find our way into the code. At this point here, we've extracted the function name, which is test. This looks to be used a bit further on, so let's just keep stepping through to find out where this is used. I think it'll be something to do with property names or argument names. And this part of the signature highlighting part is quite complicated because there's different aspects to it, like the return type and some indentation and things like that. So this part here is where I think it is. One of the properties here will probably have, yeah, here it is, display name again. So it's more or less the same issue where display name is being used but not quoted with the function that we've been using. So let's go ahead and fix this part as well. The first thing we'll do is use option default value and use the p.displayName if p.name is none. Next we use the normalized name like we've done before using quote identifier if needed, and then get the length from that. This next part's largely the same, except we're not collecting the length, we're just collecting the value of the name to present. So it's going to be exactly the same as what we fixed above. We could possibly extract this to a function if we needed, but I don't think there's any need to do that right now. So that should fix the printing of the name and also the indentation of the name of the parameters. Let's build this again. So now we're back in the client and we can have a look to see if everything's been fixed. That one looks fine. All the parameters are lining up with the symbols. The exception is double ticked. It is on the function name, it is on the type name, and it is on the other type name. If you've made it this far, why not subscribe to the channel? It really helps to make the channel grow. Also think about leaving a comment if you have any suggestions or if you like this video. I really appreciate getting any comments. I'd also like to thank all of my patrons. I really appreciate all of your support. As usual, smash the like button as hard as you possibly can, and I will see you next time.